worries don't pay. Plenty people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you.
SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport. The experience will move you.
And they start to jump around, and they start to tumble down, and they fall down.
Welcome to the Late Night Show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. We are on location, of course, as we continue touring the island. And we are here with a special guest, Mr. Renato Bryson. The 1XXM?
No.
Which
we have
one?
a lot of respect for the 1XXM
yeah.
Association.
Yeah.
But we are the Pro Swaliga.
Pro Swaliga, yes.
Foundation,
Yes, the Pro Swaliga.
But respect to the 1XXM Association.
Yes, for sure. We need more of those.
Of course.
All right, Pro Swaliga is
Yes.
here. We got him for the full hour, so we're going to take advantage.
Right.
We're going to pick the brain of Mr. Bryson because, of course, it's election time in lovely city, St. Martin. Postulation, we have no idea yet.
Yes.
Election day, we have no idea yet, but we know it's coming.
Right. It's coming sometime.
Constitutionally, we're supposed to.
So supposed to have it by January, hopefully, yes.
Now, there is some big news that dropped today. Front page of the Daily Herald, which is Aruba stating that they are not accepting the conditions given to them concerning the liquidity loans.
Right.
Now, of course, the question is what St. Martin is going to do.
Right.
So we're going to pick Pro Swaliga's brain concerning that. Mr. Bryson, talk to me.
Okay, so the Dutch, all three islands, Curacao, St. Martin, and Aruba, are fully aware legally of where they stand within the kingdom because we've presented this information to Artie Tyson, who was the former president of Parliament of Aruba. We've presented the information to the sitting Prime Minister of Curacao. And we've presented the information, obviously, to Parliament with the Decolonization Committee, which was started by MP Grisha Heiliger and MP Duncan, and is now chaired by MP Rolando Bryson and MP George Pantaflet, and the Prime Minister, fully aware. And the whole premise is this. In 2018, the Dutch state wrote to the International Court of Justice, which is considered to be the world's court. There is no higher court. That basically all social, economic, financial, basically decisions are made by the people themselves or their legal representatives, not by others, and there shall be no outside pressure or interference. And I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
We have that in writing. That was first stated in February of 2018. We brought that to the attention of the Dutch state via the court case, and we brought it to the attention of all three islands. In July 4th of last year, we received a letter from the Secretary of State stating that basically all national legislation that national legislation, meaning legislation that's originating from The Hague, such as this issue with Aruba, for instance, is coming from The Hague, cannot supersede our right to self-determination. So in other words, if Aruba doesn't agree with the loan conditions, basically their decision to their right of self-determination for their people supersedes what the Dutch state has declared.
But remember that we had the same thing with this whole, if we wanted to object to somebody concerning the treatment of the Dutch, we had nobody to complain to.
Correct.
And it was a continued discussion that they continued to move and say, okay, well, what are we going to do? Okay, we're going to make a committee, but we're going to have 2 representatives from the Netherlands. And
I think you're talking about the dispute regulation.
The dispute regulation, and that kept moving.
The reason that kept moving is because the Dutch state did not want the decision to be binding, legally binding. They wanted wiggle room out. And that is the reason why that has never gone anywhere. So what we've said to the 3 islands, and we haven't said it to the Dutch state, is this. Look, the state secretary told us July 4th of last year that any national legislation coming into the islands that interferes with your right to self-determination, basically our right to self-determination supersedes that. Here is the issue. Now the next step is that the Kingdom Charter itself, which is basically the federal constitution of the has to be screened. You have to look at the articles within the Kingdom Charter to screen it by an objective legal body.
Yeah, but who's going to screen it?
Good. That now is the problem, because we presented that to Parliament on 10/10/10 of last year. Screen and ask these questions. Here's the problem with the Kingdom Charter right now. We have a governor that has to sign off on the budget. Okay? The governor represents no citizen of St. Martin. Okay, he represents the Dutch crown.
The crown.
Second problem we have is we can't amend our constitution without Dutch approval. Amending your constitution will be able to break all of these things that we have.
Wait, you can't do 2/3 of Parliament could change anything in the constitution. From what I remember, yes.
Well, you would still need to have Dutch approval. Yes, you would still have to have Dutch approval because it's Article 44 of the Kingdom Charter states that. Then you have Articles 50 and 51, which is higher supervision. So once you can get those legally screened by a reputable international firm, they will tell you the governor is offsides. The fact that you can't amend your constitution is offside, and higher supervision is offsides. Once you get that now from a reputable international law firm, you can now have a negotiation at the table, because Holland, whether we like them or not, they are a respecter of international law once you bring it to
their attention. But as soon as you do that, and this is where the capabilities of our politicians come in. Because if you don't have a good relationship, or if you can't negotiate, then it's just going to be a lame sitting duck. And it's going to continue being pushed. Yeah.
You can't, on the one hand, complain, like Aruba's complaining right now, but we've handed you the legal, and here's the thing. The Prime Minister of Aruba has a legal background. Okay, Curaçao's government is riddled with legal minds in there. Here we have a couple here and there, not as many, but she has a legal background. She knows exactly what we're talking about. But it comes now is, what do you want to do? Because complaining is not a legal way forward.
No.
If you present it, and going to The Hague and begging and pleading is not a way forward. Sound legal explanations would be the way forward, because I believe at the end of the day, the Dutch don't want to be a rogue state on the wrong side of the law.
Especially in this atmosphere, right?
In the atmosphere with Russia and Ukraine, etc., etc.
No, but the only thing what I don't like, and I don't know what Costa Rica's position is on this, is the fact that we have a state secretary that we're talking to, a state secretary that we're communicating with, and at the same time, the Prime Minister and the state secretary, and not the Prime Minister of Holland and the Prime Minister of...
So that relationship there is called protocol. And I'm glad you bring it up. If the Prime Minister of St. Kitts lands in The Hague tomorrow, no state secretary can address him, because that's a violation of protocol, Prime Minister to Prime Minister. If the Prime Minister tomorrow of Holland lands in Roseau, Dominica tomorrow, he's expected to talk to one man and one man only, the Prime Minister Skerrit. The mere fact that, when's the last time Rutte has been here and had a conversation with Jacobs one-on-one? Far and few in between in the 13 or whatever years he's been there.
Yeah.
One-on-one with the Prime Minister of Aruba.
Yeah.
Normally it's all three together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably Zoom or quick thing in and out.
Yeah.
The state secretary does the most of the job.
Yeah.
So it just shows you that
Not even the Minister of Foreign Relations.
Thank you.
We don't even have the Minister of Foreign
Thank you.
Relations.
So it shows you that the construct that we have here, it's basically no different than the construct of Anguilla,
Yeah.
no different than the construct of the BVI, no different than the construct of of say, Cayman Islands or Bermuda, whatever you. We have the names, but diplomatic relations shows that it's not the way it's supposed to be, because a prime minister is supposed to talk to a prime minister,
yeah.
not a state secretary.
And that's where it comes in. All right.
Correct.
Elections 2024.
Yes.
We noticed that no date has been set yet,
yes.
and it's getting to the nerves of many people because we know this was coming.
Right.
We know that January is constitutionally we're supposed to have elections.
Right.
However, the excuse given by the Prime Minister is that the cleaning up of the registry, also new people being in the election, the voting bureau,
Right, the voting bureau, yes.
and the electoral. All those persons who's supposed to be. However, it still sits with the Prime Minister to call the days of postulation, the days of registration, and of course the day of elections.
Right.
Your thoughts on that?
You would know this, I would know this. Politics is a game. It's a chess match.
Oh yeah.
So the sitting government will call the elections when it's in their advantage to call the elections. They're not going to call an election where it's disadvantageous to them. And that is just the way it is. They're sitting in government. They hold the strings. We can talk about all the legal wranglings all we want.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter, just to keep it simple for everybody to understand, when you're in government, you're not going to do anything to empower the opposition or those vying for political office to kind of chip away at the seats that you had. Remember, the NA went in with 6 seats.
And
they're coming out with 4.
Correct.
The UP went in with 4 seats. They're coming out with 2.
Yeah.
So right now, they're not going to hand that over to call a snap election and maybe cause them more losses at the polls. I'm not saying that yes or no, but at the end of the day, they are the ones that have the power. They are the ones that are going to ultimately decide when the elections are going to take place. And it's just part of the political game. And all the ones that are crying about it in the opposition, had they been in the same position, they would probably do the same thing. Okay. So that's just the nature of politics.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I love the objectivity.
It's just what it is. If I'm sitting in government, why should I do something to give my opponents the advantage?
Yeah.
So I know when the election date is going to be. I will call it when it is, and it's probably going to be when the opposition is least expecting it. And that's just the way it is. And if the shoe were on the other foot, I would expect the same thing. Yes.
Now, when it comes to the political parties, 8 is what we're looking at for now.
For now.
8 we're looking at for now.
Yes.
I always find it ridiculous for the amount of for 15 seats.
15 seats.
We got 100 and something people.
Yes.
But it looks like something is good in the Parliament building.
Yes.
So they're drinking some good water in
We're
there.
not going to talk about that. That's a little bit off limits for today. Let's keep it kosher.
Let's keep it kosher. But the different political parties.
Yes.
I always ramble about the ideologies.
Yes.
That's something that we don't have here.
Right.
It's something that maybe we looking towards.
Right.
Getting to for people to vote for ideology instead of voting for popularity contests.
Correct.
But we're trying.
Yes.
So as far as Professor Liga, looking at the different political parties that you've seen come out of the woodworks, you've been to all congresses.
Yes, we've been to all.
So give me a little bit of.
Well, we went because of the work that we do, basically trying to secure the right of self-determination of all 15 parliamentarians and all 7 seats of the Council of Ministers. Also, this goes back to November 2020 when we got 12 out of 15 MPs to support our legal actions.
And that was big.
That was huge. So you're talking DP, USP, NA, UP, across the board, except for 3 MPs, supported our legal action.
Yeah.
So we try not to pick and choose. So what we try to do is go to everybody's, congresses to see what's going on.
Yeah.
We went to UP's Congress just the other day, well attended, well attended. We also went to URSM's, well attended. We also went to
National
NA,
Alliance,
National Alliance,
yeah.
well attended. Now, people are, up and coming and doing
Yeah.
their thing. The main thing that has me a little bit concerned is I'm wondering, because you're seeing a lot of fresh faces,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if these fresh faces really understand that they're going to postulate for a job that entitles law making.
No. I'll answer it for you. No.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I would have to agree with you. A lot of them don't understand. So I think a lot of them look at the suits, the cutting of ribbons, the cutting of babies, the flying, the Latinos.
I hope they don't cut no babies.
Well, we're not cutting the babies. They're cutting ribbons. Sorry. Let me repeat.
Don't cut no babies,
Cutting
please.
of ribbons to open buildings, the hugging of babies. I
Yes.
work with babies, so we
Yes.
don't want to cut the babies.
Okay.
And I think it's more of some kind of fantasy dream job that they think that it is, rather than the nitty-gritty of making laws and changing the situation that we're in. Another thing I want to understand, if they consider this, and I know this is a touchy subject, we've had
I love touchy subject.
8 elected officials heckled, harassed, or arrested in the last 13 years. 8.
Yeah.
And it's probably more, because I'm probably missing 2. Let's say 10. We had 2 this year.
Yeah.
This year alone, and we're only in August.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, 6 months.
Do they understand that as a parliamentarian vying for office, that is not supposed to be? There is no other place in the Western Hemisphere where you're supposed to be trembling for your job when you're putting office. So my question to a lot of the young ones is, what are you going to do to protect the status of your office? What do you have in plan? If you don't have a plan, contact Prosper Legal. We have the plan for you. Because it doesn't make sense for you to become an elected official and then have to answer to somebody else who is not elected and does not represent the people of St. Martin. So those are the things that I'm watching. And as you correctly stated, I would say the vast majority of the ones that are coming in fresh, and I don't think they're, I would say this, read up on the Constitution and read up on the Kingdom Charter. Those would be the first 2 places to start. You don't have to be a legal person per se, but at least read to make yourself approved, because it's a legal job.
It is. Yeah. And most of the time during the election season, we pull on the heartstrings of the population, and it's easy to point out a mistake.
Right.
It's easy to say, okay, well, this is a problem.
Right.
We need to fix it. Elect me.
Right.
But I always shake my head when people do that, because it's like, what? How are you going to fix my road when I want you to be an MP?
Yeah.
It's a parliamentary election.
And it's 2 sides too. So we talked about the political side, but then we also have to talk about the electorate. And I'm sorry I have to say this about my own nation of birth, but our electorate is not very mature.
No, it's
not. We're not very mature at all, because as you correctly stated, it's a popularity contest basically, and then if you have, I remember in 2010 when we were having elections, we were there by the pond field. They had trailers hanging in the air with dancers and carnival outfits and very little substance, but a lot of pomp and circumstance. And if that is what you're going to do to have people be in your office for 4 years, then you have to take the repercussions that come with those kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
So we have to become politically mature as an electorate as well. And I think when that happens, then you'll see less and less of this kind of thing. I'm going to fix your roads, I'm going to patch your roof and the rest of it, which is important.
Yeah.
But that is not the scope of what an MP is supposed to be doing.
The role of a member of parliament,
Yes.
and many times we've seen it with the current members of parliament,
Yes.
that it's pretty superficial at times,
Yes.
the way that they present certain things on the floor.
Right.
And you can see it. If you compare it to other parliaments.
Yes.
We getting there, but we're not there.
We're not
yet.
there. We're
Especially
a lot better than where we were.
Oh yeah, before.
Yeah.
Yes,
Before
we are. Yeah,
yes.
we are.
Yes.
But there is still room for improvement.
Correct.
Lots of improvement.
Yes.
But I'm disappointed at the lack of legislation.
Yes.
That has been introduced over the past 3.5 years.
Yes. As a matter of fact, you can say there's only really, and I don't want to sound like I'm being nepotistic here, but there's only really one MP that brings through
MP Bryson. We know that. We know that.
Legislation.
Yeah. But anyway, but besides him, and the fact that you had MP Emmanuel for some reason on his radio program said, I didn't do none.
Yeah.
I didn't do none because,
The system is broken.
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them my idea.
Yeah.
And then this is from a member of parliament.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said to myself, how is it possible
Yeah.
that one person cannot go across the aisle or caucus with all the other members, whether they with whichever party they're with,
to drive
and
the nation forward.
To say, hey, listen, I got this legislation.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Support it, yes or no, up to you.
Right.
I don't know why that attitude is not there.
Yeah. I can't really answer that question.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think what happens is it's all about personal interests at the end of the day and personal gain at the end of the day sometimes over country and nation, etc., etc. What I will say is this. Having worked with my uncle, who's a constitutional jurist, drafting legislation and those types of things, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And I think if you look at the amount
I think we pay very well.
Yeah,
also.
they pay very well for it. Correct. They're remunerated quite well. And I think sometimes what happens is when you see the amount of work that it takes, you look between, you look at, should I be putting in this kind of work to do a legislation, or can I just, jump on another trip and head out someplace else and take some photo opportunities?
Yeah.
And again, are the electorate going to hold me responsible for not having the legislation? So it all goes back to the electorate.
Yeah.
So if the electorate are respecters of legislation rather than pomp and circumstance, that will force your elected officials to work accordingly.
To work harder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, with Mr. Bryson from Pro Swaliga. Stay with us.
No, but MP Bryson, look, MP Bryson, this is exactly why I have confidence in you. You're a very intelligent young man. I know that from day one when I met you, which you know how that goes.
Yep.
And this is the level of discussion you need in Parliament,
That's right.
in those committees. I hope the audience and the people are listening. This is
Parliament right here would love nothing better than to say, let's allocate 10 million guilders towards helping our issues in social needs and so on. But how are we to do that when we have all of these conditions of, well, you can't get more liquidity, you need to cut, you need to do this. Many of us feel like we're in a position where we can't fully extend our ability to legislate.
But my decision is to stay where I'm at. At the end of the day, the way that MP Rolando Bryson leads, he allows me to work. He gives me that freedom to work. It's not always a phone call of pressure or do this, do that, don't do this, and that's part of the reason that I'm able to produce.
Any of the difficulties that this government faces today, I didn't sit down, do nothing, and have my staff write press releases. No, I got up and asked myself from opposition benches, what can I do? So I read my constitution, the one I swore to uphold, which gives us the rights to bring laws, to bring amendments, interpellation rights, inquiry rights. So we asked ourselves the questions at the time, what have we done? Regardless of...
He has represented this country qua what is expected of a parliamentarian professionally, and I can align myself with that.
Simply gone through a very difficult economic time and are simply asking of the tax department an opportunity to have a payment plan. And it seems that this is really done kind of like if they feel like how you talk to them, it's extreme.
Some of them even say, is the guns on Monaco, so they won't let me play, and they blaming polio. Who they think they could fool? All we know they better do pass. Polio or no polio, man we won, we must. Mama when they hear, they go get the carnival. Oh, all masqueraders on here. Well, they didn't care if it was official, but they start turning peace on the street. And they start to jump around, and they start to tumble down, and they fall down on the ground. If you see how they care. But what was so comical in the midst of Bacchanal? Rain comes and wash out Marks in May. Who they think they could fool? All we know they better do pass. Polio or no polio, man we won we mark. Mama when they hear they go get the carnival. Oh, oh, all masquerade.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? But sorry, no sir. They got this game tonight and I can't miss it. Me and my boy, we gotta watch the game, you know. So I bringing this in. You check? Alright, let me watch your leg down. Watch your leg.
Sir, sorry. Why so difficult? Look, I'm watching TV here on my phone with the Tell TV Plus app. You really gotta upgrade.
Okay, so miss, tell me about the Tell TV Plus. I hear about this.
Okay, so once you apply for Tell TV Plus,
Okay.
you can enjoy it anytime on the go.
Anytime.
Anytime.
On the go?
On the go. You simply download the app, log into your account at any time, sit back and enjoy. You will never have to miss your match.
Yo, bus driver, take me back to tell him now, please.
Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true.
Okay, we're back with Mr. Bryson. This is still the late night show, and we are getting into it, the nitty gritty. Let me talk some numbers. You good with numbers? I good with numbers. So let me go
I'm not a
into it.
mathematician,
I
but
know,
I can
you know,
hold my own.
you can hold
I
your
can do
own.
a 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
51% of the population came during the last election to vote. Considered pretty high based on before where we had 49.
Yeah.
And before that we never passed the 60, 70.
Right.
Half of the population, almost half to the population, does not vote.
Right.
So we have about 9 to 10,000 people
Yeah.
that do not vote
Right.
at no time at all.
I think we have to look inside the data. For instance, I have an aunt that can vote, but she lives in the United States. Doesn't come down for elections. So you have a lot of St. Martiners. Remember, when you live in the States, listen to the dynamic. When you live in the States, you don't have to write out. See, when you go to Holland, you have to write out. And I think that needs to change too, because if you included our students that are in Holland of age 18 to 25 that have been written out, that number would be even higher. Because remember, every year when we send students away, they're written out of the register.
Yeah.
So let's put that aside. So I know of plenty of people that can vote in St. Martin, have voting cards, but live in the States. They live in the States. Then I was having a conversation with a prominent politician the other day. We have petitions here that were here years and years and years and years. Back in St. Kitts can vote here. Don't come over for elections. So if you look at that number of people that are abroad who can vote, because they don't have to be written out to be in the States. You don't have to be written out to be in another place. You just have to be written out to go to Holland. I think that is where you have to look at that piece of data now to see if it's people here that are not turning up, or is it the numbers of people abroad who are not turning up because they're simply abroad and I ain't paying $800 round trip to go back home, unless, of course, you get a political party to do the charter flight. And I think we have to look at the data a little closely.
Oh, so that's what we look at.
Yes.
And I guess maybe that's what they look at.
I know, I'm just going to say, that's not my brainchild. I was just having a conversation. As a matter of fact, I'll name the MP with MP Christopher Emmanuel. I was having a conversation with him, and he brought up the fact that, yes, while you're writing out there, but you have plenty of, and I know my aunt, born here, lives in the United States for 40 years, can vote. But she doesn't really come down.
But she doesn't come down.
Yeah. So how many more of those St. Martiners?
We have.
And New York is filled with St. Martiners and Florida and different places. So you have a lot of St. Martiners abroad who can vote, but, not written out, still on the register, and maybe that could be part of it.
The government of St. Martin, the ministers, they've been getting a lot of flack for many issues.
Right.
Different ministers, and of course, every minister is different because
Yes.
we have two political parties supporting the government with independents.
Yes.
That's another discussion we're going to get to.
Yes.
But the coalition, from the time they lost Christopher Emmanuel and Ludmina Duncan, Ludmina De Weaver, Trisha Heiligel,
Yes.
did they and they went ahead with the support of the 8,
Yeah.
and just to keep the promise what they made during the beginning of their term.
Right.
Do you think that's going to help, or that's going to not help them for this election?
Look, when you have
because before you go, because I think people downplay the fact that this is the first time in history since 10-10-10 that we have a
government that's going to last 4 years.
That's going to last 4 years. That's history.
Yes.
That's going to be it.
Yes.
But I feel like now the talking point changed from we need stability. We need stability. We get stability for the 4 years. And now it's, but at what cost? But why are you talking about that when people are hungry? I don't like that hypocrisy.
Right. I, for one, commend this government, and I do it every time I go, to doing whatever was necessary for the government not to fall. Government falling cost us a mass amount of money.
Yeah, people don't understand.
Interim government, or this, a decommissioner, elections. It's a lot of bread.
Yeah.
So I commend them, even though you might not like the way it came about with the 4 MPs leaving and the patchwork and whatever. It worked and it happened, and history is going to show that this government, they're not going to show the details of who left and who came in.
Yeah.
It's just going to show that this is the first government to last 4 years, and I commend them with that. But with that being said, all governments have problems. Even if it was the 6 and the 4, right? Say the 4 MPs didn't leave. It was 6 and the 4. There would still be problems. There would still be issues. There would still be things that they can improve on. Government is not perfect. No government is perfect. So whether it was the 6 and the 4 or the 8 and the 7, the fact is they must be commended. Yes, whether you like the NA, don't like the NA, don't like the UP, don't like Chanel, whatever, Akeem, your own. You have to commend them to saying that the government, for the first time in 13 years, was able to stick out 48 months.
Yeah, and no matter the issues.
No matter the issues. I think that is a step in the right direction.
Okay, so then that we have established that, the National Alliance and the UP have governed the way that is not so much popular to the populace. At most times, where they say they make unpopular decisions, but they know that in the end, it's going to benefit. And I guess we just have to wait until the end. But the function book for the justice workers is a perfect example. The hospital, it's inherited, but it's looked like, it's still an issue. So we still have to keep them accountable. The airport, you know where I'm going. So now that, it's judgment time is coming again, how do they defend something that they've inherited, but now is responsible for completing?
I'm going to tell you something. Our electorate have a very short memory.
Oh, episodic.
So that's going to work in their advantage. So 12.5% cuts, that might as well have been 50 years ago.
Oh yeah. Oh, you just remind me of something.
Listen, I
forget about the 12.5% cut.
Hold on. I didn't forget because I was a direct victim of all of those decisions. I work in education. So I will never forget the 12.5% cuts. I will never forget the year I didn't get my vacation pay. I ain't gonna forget none of it, never. No, that is me.
Yeah.
I am not part of the majority, but go and ask the rest of the 12.5%ers and those who didn't get their vacation pay next year if they're still going to vote for the same people, and I would guarantee you there's a highly likely situation where they're going to vote for the very people who are responsible for those acts. I will never forget. Bro, let me tell you something. I've been working in this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
When that summer came and they told us, you're not getting your vacation pay this year. Yo, that was serious for me. I go to work. I'm not one of these people stay home. I go to work.
You go to work.
And summertime come, you want your thing to go. Didn't come. Now, I didn't forget, but the question is, like I just started before,
the population.
Most of the electorate, that 12.5% cut might as well have been 1955 BC.
It's true.
And that is the issue. So while you're saying they're going to have to defend a lot of things, it boils down to what is the electorate going to remember when the jump up and the carnival and the music and the chicken leg and the da-da-da start running, which is caused to make you forget the alcohol and all those things start running to block the issues. How many are going to remember? And that is where now we're going to see in January who has remembered and who has not. And I will say this, I expect to see the same coalition back in January. Based on what I'm saying, I don't expect to see too much of a change that you see now.
So the new parties,
Yeah.
they're the ones who have to go up against
I
these
think,
giants.
yes, I think the new parties will form a very nice coalition, but based on the numbers that I'm seeing...
There's only 15.
Yeah, it's only
That's
15. Thank God. We shouldn't even go 17.
No,
we
no,
should
no.
block that.
I think they make
we don't have money for that.
Yeah, that's...
ain't got no money for that.
Please.
Oh, if the population goes...
But then again, you had one party, the DP, yesterday, they made an announcement that they're looking into the possibility of having state secretaries. And I said to myself, having state secretaries is going to cost us more. One for taxes and one for environment. And I would say, okay, but why not?
We have a minister plenipotentiary.
We have a deputy minister.
We have a deputy minister plenipotentiary. And this is no assault on the person. This is just
the office
on the institution. We have an integrity chamber that costs us $1 million a year.
Yeah.
We have a CFT. We have all of these things that
the
we
audit
don't
chamber,
need.
the ombudsman.
And you want to start adding more to a bucket with a hole in it? Absolutely not. 15 MPs until we get a population of 250,000. Then we're going to look about change. How many MPs Curacao have? About 21? 21. Their population is what? 100 and something thousand.
Yeah.
We know nowhere close.
We ain't have a 50. Well.
We're nowhere close.
Yeah. They can't vote. The voting population. Let me go on the voting. Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me we're going to have 4 less MPs? Let's block that. We can't afford it.
Yeah.
We can't afford the 15 we have now.
No,
I would argue.
Because of independence.
And I would even argue, and I know this is controversial, what's the difference between, for the normal taxpayer citizen, between 15 MPs and 7? Food for thought. You don't have to answer. What would be the difference if 8 went home and we just had 7? Yeah, just leave it there.
I understand.
Just leave it there. So we don't need 17.
No,
we don't need 17
because we have our headache. We have our bucket full already with the 15. Especially
and then we have 9 factions or 8 factions, and then all of them have to go IPCO. Then all of them have to go Palatino. No, absolutely not. We don't need any more than that.
Yeah,
keep it at 15. 15 is a nice round number.
But as far and this is where I feel like competency comes into play.
Correct.
As far as the portfolios is concerned, because they're saying that, and this is new to me, because we've been as a country for 13 years.
Yes.
Only 13 years.
Yes.
Special relations with Holland.
Right.
We have portfolios for the ministers, and only now they say it's top heavy.
Right.
It's too much for economic affairs to be in charge of transportation, tourism, and everything else. Then we have VSR, labor, health, and then of course social affairs.
Right.
You got finance, only supposed to be finance. Okay. Then but justice in charge of almost 900 people.
Right.
Then you have the education,
which is huge,
culture, youth, sport, in one person.
Correct.
Whereby they're saying, oh, it's too much, but then why take the job? That's a different story.
That's a different story.
But do we have to look at the portfolios, or it's just basically a question of competency?
I don't think the portfolio should matter, because a leader is only as good as the people you surround yourself with. So if you're only looking at the minister, then you're looking at a problem. You have to be looking at the minister and his team.
The team.
Or her team.
Yeah.
So I don't really, when I see like, say for instance, a particular minister doing something, I always ask, but who is your legal advisor? Who's your team?
Yeah.
Who's around you? Yeah. Who whispers in your ear?
Yeah. Who brought you the team?
Who brought you the... Because it's not the minister. We have this thing like the ministers out there doing... no. You have a head all around you. You have a legal team.
You have department heads.
You have department heads. You have
section heads.
Yeah. You have policy advisors, senior policy... You have a whole squad. So when you see them bungling, I don't really look at the minister. I always say, who's your team? Show me your team and I'll show you who you are. So if you put a good qualified team around you, who are knowledgeable and have the interests of the country at heart, to drive this country forward, not just showing up to work because they've been there so long, you will see some change. And sometimes you might have to break with the old guard. You have some people that have been there 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, they get complacent.
You get complacent
Yeah,
because here's another thing too. You've been there 30 years and you've seen more ministers come and go for 14 months, 16 months. So you're like, you're going to be out of here in 12 months.
Yeah, I'll see you in a while.
Yeah, I'm going to see you in a while. I don't have to listen to you because the last one was only here for 12 months. The next one going to be here for 14 months. So I don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
And that causes an issue. So continuity in government is one. And then ministers making sure that it's not just, oh, my cousin, my godfather, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What you need to do is start practicing meritocracy, which means you're hiring people based on their competency to drive the country forward and to bring good ideas to your ministry to drive it forward. Yeah.
Competency does not mean popular, though.
No.
And especially in St. Martin's election system.
Yes.
I always said, and this and people get offended, but it's true.
Yeah.
I always said that if we had competent politicians, I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
I would not have a job.
Well, I'm not going to touch that.
No, I just say okay, stop. Let me say stop.
I do watch your show, and they do give you a lot of...
they give me material for days. They give me material for days.
Yes.
I always say that competency does not mean that people vote that way particularly.
Correct.
Because sometimes the competent people would not be the one
Right.
to go and kiss the baby.
Right, exactly.
And shake
So
the
you have
hands.
but you see...
There would be a horrible person, like a good example. The former Minister of Finance, Richard Gibson.
Yes.
Horrible socialite.
But one of the best.
One of the best.
One of the best.
One of the
and
best.
was fought down tooth and nail because he wanted to be financially, what you call it, accountable.
The man said, this is your budget.
Yeah, stick to it.
This is what you have.
But here's the thing. Here's the reason.
Do not come for more because there is no more.
But here's the issue. You're talking about not only a man that was legal-minded, but also a businessman.
Yes.
In one. So not only did he know the law, he also had his own businesses and understand that if I run Nagico the way you run this thing here,
I will be out of business.
Burger King will be serving tuna rolls. So he understood and fought tooth and nail for that.
I know.
Move the government building over there that was sitting there empty.
Yeah.
Yes, was a great Minister of Finance.
And that's why I always said, not people person.
Yeah. No.
Business person. He'll say it, and you could say anything you want, and he's just going to wait until you finish.
But then again, like I just told you, it comes from his own personal background of being a businessman himself. He understood that if I run a business that's profitable, why should I come into business to run government finance? It's always going to be in the red rather than being in the black.
Then
so it was transfer of knowledge.
Yeah, it was transfer.
Yeah.
So but people don't necessarily vote for that, and I guess that's up to the audience,
right?
To make their own decision when it comes to it depends on who helped me yesterday.
But part of the issue too is somebody gets 800 votes. I want to be minister.
Yeah. Don't even care what portfolio it is. I want to be minister.
I want Brahmi.
Yeah.
I want justice.
Yeah.
Why? Because I get 750 votes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's
and I guess that's where the whole having a list comes from, and then not picking anybody from your list.
But we're not politically mature enough for that, because what's going to happen is the guys them know that need you to move up to fill those parliamentary seats.
Yeah.
Because you're talking now the difference between working that regular civil servant job and going up to a job now that's going to pay you substantially more.
Yeah.
So you need these people to move up so that you now can fill those parliamentary seats, and then your lifestyle will change. So it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
But in a perfect world,
perfect society,
what you would do is, I got the 700 votes, I stay in parliament. Duncan, run the Ministry of Justice for me. Calmera, you know that young man?
Yeah, no.
Run the Ministry of Finance for me, etc., etc. And I'm not putting people on the spot.
Professional.
You know what I mean?
Professional.
Who know the portfolio in and out.
Yeah.
Might not know government, but that portfolio, they're going to know it because that's what they do in their outside life.
Yeah. And,
so when
they wouldn't get pushed around for sure. They wouldn't get pushed
and then
around.
Here's the next thing. It's not going to take them 4 or 5 months to learn, the train. They're hitting the ground running.
Because they know.
When a spreadsheet comes across their table, I deal with that already.
Yeah.
You don't got to get somebody to tell me So You understand?
Yeah.
And that is it. And then he's going to surround himself with professionals, and then you keep the ball rolling.
You keep the ball rolling. So we need to step it up.
Yeah.
And get to a better
Yeah,
situation.
we have a lot of people, you touched on it a little while ago. You have a lot of people in St. Martin who have no interest in running for office.
No.
But would drive this. And I can tell you, I have a list of about, 20, 30. You know, I just call the Calmera guy there. I have great respect for this young man. Great respect, because he's a fine, and he's nowhere around.
No.
Legal people we have here, engineers that we have here, civil engineers that we have here, educate. Dr. Rhoda Arundel.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
Can we talk for a minute?
Let me talk.
Dr. Rhoda Arundel, PhD.
Yeah.
Taught at the University of the Bahamas before coming back home. Can't find nothing of substance. We ain't talking about teaching in a classroom, and that's no disrespect, because that's what I do, so it's no disrespect. PhD.
Yeah.
Can't find nothing to do here. Education in shambles.
Yeah.
She's on a flight to Washington, D.C. to go work with Dr. Felicia or Rashad, Bill Cosby's wife on the Cosby Show. They're on the same faculty at Howard University. Getting paid 6 figures to go work in the States. But you can't find nothing for her to do here in education? Come on, man.
Square miles.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we saying? And at the same time, 2 weeks ago, the CEO of Winair, we ain't going to talk about that anymore.
Oh, don't get me started.
So, like I tell you, my eyes are wide open.
Yeah.
Dr. Rhoda is a personal and dear friend of mine, but you do not let people like that leave your... Let me tell you something about Dr. Rhoda. Dr. Rhoda has credentials to be the chancellor of the University of the West Indies. She has those credentials. If you go CARICOM and talk to any of these UE campuses, and you put her... She could probably be a deputy chancellor or a chancellor here at the UE. She gone through the gate, up in the States, and nothing for her to do here? Are we serious right now? Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's just talk it like it is.
I love it.
And Dr. Rhoda is my dear friend. I go to her soil cafe. We talk. Sometimes we butt heads with the one SXM associate. We butt heads sometimes. But I'm an educator, and I can tell you right now, a PhD in education in St. Martin, you ain't finding that easy here.
Yeah.
And you let that just through the door? She has no place to play in the Ministry of Education, no place to play in the Department of Education, but Howard University, one of the top HBCUs in America, say, listen, not only are we going to pay your salary, we're going to pay for your visa.
Yeah. Come. We got you, come.
We got you. Housing, this, that. Come work for us.
Yeah. 6
figures. Making more than any MP here. Let it be known.
St. Martin, it's supposed to be a real place.
Let it be known. Don't get me started. That lady is near and dear to my heart, boy. It hurt my heart.
No, you're right. But that's what the people need to hear also.
Man,
because
you can't do that.
when they say that we don't have professionals,
Don't make me start with Dr. Randall Friday when he first came back. And he had to go practice in Anguilla. Came here looking for a license to open a clinic or something here. Can't get it. Man jumping on ferry to go Anguilla to go walk.
You can imagine?
A Howard Medical School again. There goes Howard again. Come back. I want. No, you can't do that here.
No. You get your license in the States.
Jump on the ferry and Anguilla say, come, we need you.
Oh, yeah.
But they're going to tell you now, we ain't got people.
Yeah.
And I tell the government all the time, if you can't find people, call me. I have a database this long. Call me. All fields. I know them. These are nice people, but they just don't want to be.
They don't want to be in the board.
List.
Yeah. They won't be on no political.
They don't want to be on no political board, and that's their right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's their right.
They don't need to.
They don't have to. They have the credentials.
They work their asses off to get the credit.
They tell you, go to school, go away, come back and contribute. You come back? Okay, look at your office in the back corner, in the back there, and that is it.
And you answer to somebody who's less
qualified
than you.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
And you give them the advice and they watch it and they don't understand it, so they put it on the side.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's stop with the nonsense. We can't have these kind of situations going on at all.
Pro Swaliga's message to the voters for elections 2024.
Okay, so one thing I want to make clear is that 3 things. Pro Swaliga, the 3 things that we stay away from. Number 1 is talk of independence. We don't get involved too much in politics because we told you about, we talk politics, but
you need bipartisan, you need everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we don't discuss racism and bigotry and all of those kind of things, and those things. what we would say to the voters is this: when you go out this election, we're not telling you who to vote for, what parties to support, but make sure that you vote for the candidate, and I can't say it any simpler than this, that has the best interest of your children at heart. Not you, not your grandparents, someone that can advance the cause of your children. That's the person you need to vote for. Just find that person, not about you, not about the, oh, what are you going to do for me? No. What can they do for your children? The 8-year-old now, what can they do for your child when your child is 18? What can they do for your child when they come back from college and they're qualified to run the hospital and they're not on the road painting somewhere on the side of the road? Those are the kind of people you need to support. People that can drive your children or make St. Martin a better place for your children, because we already had our day in the sun. We're not old by any stretch of the imagination. But the future generations, who can carve a way for the future generations, those are the people you need to go out. And of course, they need to be legal-minded.
Yeah.
That can do
research.
Get
pick up a newspaper here and there.
Yes.
Watch news from time to time, and also if you could find a way to ask questions, questions, because that's also important.
The best way to learn is by asking questions. You can't ever feel, if you feel that you know it all, that is the beginning of your downfall. That is the beginning of your downfall. You can't ever believe that you know it all. You understand? Yeah.
Fulfilling, refreshing. Thank you, Mr. Bryson, for coming.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. First time it's overdue. It's overdue. I'm a big fan of the show.
All right. Rather Bryson of course, Pro Swaliga.
Yes.
And of course, they continue the fight to especially educate the population when it comes to their rights.
Yes.
As a people, instead of just taking it how it is and laying down for it because the Dutch say so. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah. So the whole premise is this: if we elect 15 people, we're electing 15 people that whoever they are. I don't care what colors they. If you put 15 people in parliament, why do they have to answer to somebody we don't vote for?
Simple.
It's simple. I mean, it sounds big, but if we put 15 people there, so if that's not the system we want, then we might as well just not have elections and just have direct control.
Direct control.
Yeah. Cut out the middleman.
Cut out the middleman.
Which we don't want, by the way.
No.
We love our 15 middlemen and our 7. They're not, they don't please us all the time, but it's the best way.
Yeah, but we need them there to control the 7 because sometimes they'll go rogue.
Whoa.
They go rogue. All right, that is for the late night show. Until tomorrow, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.